Hello, hello, hello. Welcome to Kernels of Truth, brought to you by Progress Kentucky. We have got a special episode for you tonight. After much complaining and harassing and haranguing from our amazing co-host, Kimberly, we have got an all Louisville episode. All right, it's not all Louisville. It's a lot of Louisville. More Louisville than I think is necessarily, It's great. It's going to be a great episode. Just believe me, people. We have got a Run for the Roses story. We've got actually two Run for the Roses stories. We've got an update on the Louisville PD and the Breonna Taylor fallout. And then we actually are going to move across the state, and we're going to be joined by the Real McCoys from Concerned Citizens of Martin County. Who'll be talking about drinking water in Eastern Kentucky, followed by an important and timely and pointed call to action. But first, our quick plug for Progress Kentucky. As you may know, we are an all-volunteer campaign, and we are committed to turning Kentucky purple by supporting compassionate policies which put people first. So if that sounds like a good thing, if that sounds like a mission you could get behind, you should do that. So you can go to our Secure Act Blue server right now, make a donation, and let us have the resources we need for, I think, a pretty important and strategic organizing project that we want to launch with the handwritten postcards that prove very popular and impactful across the state, working to engage more folks to get our political system just a little bit more level-headed than we've been experiencing the past few years. So do it. Go on. Anything. 5, 50, 500, 5,000, whatever you're able to commit. Any winnings from this Sunday that you'd like to dump back into the community, you can do that. All right. So really happy to be checking in with these fine folks this evening. How is it only Wednesday? I feel like it's been a really long week, and I'm glad to have an evening with these folks. So we're going to introduce our co-hosts, but first let us know who you are, where you are, and what does your protest sign say today? And anyone who's watching, I want to see, because it's Facebook, it'll tell your face and your name, but it doesn't say where you're from. It doesn't say what your protest sign says. So that's up to you. Go ahead and add it in the chat, please. And my sign says, and I'm Aaron. I'm coming to you from Childsburg, Lexington, Kentucky. My sign says, hey, Churchill Downs, valets work much longer than 2 minutes. That's what my sign says. How about you, Kimberly?
Hi, everybody. Coming to you right here today from the 147th Run for the Roses week here in Louisville, Kentucky. And my protest sign says, Churchill Downs, Louisville, Kentucky, Mayor Fisher, let other people have some fun in the city as well.
Nice. Do it. Come on, guys. All right. And NATO.
Hey folks, this is Nate Orshan coming to you from my office this week in Kitson, my home here in South Frankfurt. Behind me, I have Addie the Wonder Dog, and she's sleeping on pads because she's incontinent. But anyway, back to the fun here. This week, my protest sign says, for Kentucky Derby, I'm voting on Progress in Kentucky. I'm betting on. Oh, I screwed up my own joke. Do over. I'm betting on Progress in Kentucky.
we can clean that up.
I want to do over too.
Yeah, okay. Everyone gets do-overs. Let's go to Ken. Ken, behind the boards. What do you got?
Well, it's Wednesday. I'm excited for a wonderful week ahead. I've just been aggravated all day from a story I read earlier, so I'm just going to keep my protest signs simple. And this is something I've never been afraid of when I've been pulled over by police, but I just want to say Black Lives Matter. And if anybody is watching that's a police officer, they are probably in agreement with us. Black Lives Matter.
Yeah, if they're watching this show, they probably don't have a problem with that sentiment. It's a bit of an if. We've only got 5 people watching, so I don't know.
But it's always 5,000, Aaron, that watch.
We get a lot of replays after the fact. We've got our listeners, our podcast listeners, That's my favorite way. Like, I don't really want to look at myself, but I do like to hear what I have to say because it's so insightful. I just hey, before we jump into the news, let's just talk about this thing, this, like, as Kimberly called it, the like last week of school, right? Like, it's like so exciting because here in Kentucky, it's Derby week. What does that mean to folks? Are folks like, do they know who they're betting on? Have they done the research? They just have their plans for their drinks, or are they just going to wear cool hats? Like, what do folks do in Derby week? What's so exciting about Derby week? Who's got something?
Well, me coming from Louisville, Kentucky, it is the most exciting time of the year here in Louisville. I mean, look at my hat, you guys. Now, this is not the hat that I'm going to wear on Saturday, but this was a previous year. Was it 2019 that I wore this particular Derby hat? And this is the hat that you honestly want to wear up in one of the skyboxes or on Millionaire Row. So it's just like it's bustling of activity in the city. And it's not as much as it normally is, but I'll put it to you like this, Aaron. You cannot get a rental car this week in Louisville. They're coming in and the hotels are full.
Yeah. They're gonna get Lyft drivers coming in from all across the country to make their dollars at the Derby. How about you, Nate? What's the most exciting part of Derby for you?
Well, not being from Kentucky, you know, everything is always new and exciting. But the thing that strikes me the most is sort of the way that people feel that they can start drinking early. You know, when I was working in Lexington a couple of years back, people would tell me, so what are you doing for, what was it, Derb's Day? You know, like the Thursday before Derby. And I was like, what? And, you know, the bottom line is always drinking. You know, there's drinking days before, there's drinking the morning of, there's drinking during, and you better believe there's drinking afterwards. So it's, you know, whole lot of bourbon.
Whole lot of bourbon. So is that your drink of choice, Nate? Like for the Derby, is that what you're drinking?
I do like Woodford Reserve. Shout out to Annabelle, a Woodford County resident here.
She's underage. I don't know that we should be shouting her out with an alcoholic conversation.
That's a good idea. She can tell people how to get to the distillery. Anyway, that would be my drink.
I think you were talking about Thurby.
Thank you. Yes.
Yes. That's another day that we go. It really starts on Thursday, which is Thurby. Then on that Friday is the Oaks. That's when the Phillies run. And then on Saturday is the actual run for the Roses. So, yeah. How about some mint juleps? This is the only time of year I'm going to drink some mint juleps. And guess what, you guys? I'm going to drink them up and drink them up and drink them up some more. And I'll probably pass out somewhere.
When I was a kid, I went to Keeneland or somewhere and gave flowers to a horse. I was a little kid. I felt honored because my dad knew the owner or something.
That sounds like the winning flowers.
Yeah, the winning flowers. We brought them out. I felt it was like the first time that I felt like hundreds of people were watching me. It seemed like the most people ever were seeing me, and I felt like I was like a star. Maybe that's why I got into this stuff. I don't know.
Yeah. You can't keep you off the show now. I will say.
Aaron, can I just tell you one more thing? This is so exciting. I promise it is so exciting. Just one more quick thing.
Yes, go.
Okay, wonderful. Well, I just want to let you guys know about the year that I actually was so close to American Pharaoh, I could have touched him. One of the most beautiful horses you've ever seen. I was standing there at the paddock before he was about to go out to the track. And everybody was like, American Pharaoh, American Pharaoh. And they were taking pictures. And I lie to you not, ladies and gentlemen, American Pharaoh was a superstar, and he knew he was a superstar, because I even said, American Pharaoh, we love you. And American Pharaoh was posing this way, take a picture, and then he go this way, he take a picture. And I just don't think there's ever going to be another horse ever like American Pharaoh. And a close second, I would say, is Secretariat.
That is a historically, the people are going to challenge you, I think, on that ranking. But yeah, American Pharaoh is awesome, right? So as folks maybe know, I, like Nate, not a lifer, been here for a few years. The first bike ride I ever took out into the, horse park countryside, and I loved it. Great, like rolling hills and just a beautiful place to ride a bike. And I rode past, the birthplace of American Pharaoh, and I was like, oh my God, that is amazing. Yeah, because he's a rock star. He is absolutely a rock star. All right, so I'm going to answer one question. What are you drinking? I am going to be drinking a Mile Wide beer. This is a Louisville beer. I usually stick local. I usually drink West 6th, maybe Ethereal here in Lexington. But because it's Derby week, I'm getting a Louisville beer, getting the Mile Wide Saftig Northeast Pale Ale. Just so you folks know, that's what's going to be in my cup while I listen to this first story for news of the week. So I think actually the first story comes to us from Her Majesty, the woman in purple, Kimberly.
Thank you, Aaron. And thank you, ladies and gentlemen. Want to talk to you a little bit about the Derby. As you know, that I am a firm fan of the Derby here in Louisville, Kentucky. So it is Derby week, as we've been talking about, and Louisville's star turn on the international sports page, or can we call it the turn, right? I love that pun, because the horses take the turn, okay? But the Run for the Roses has some absolutely significant thorns this year, unfortunately, as labor organizers have targeted Churchill Downs, the corporate owner of the Derby, due to a labor dispute with the valets. Of all people to have a dispute with, the valets. They have to park all the cars. They have to do everything. Why have a fight with them? But the valets are a unionized workforce represented by the SEIU. And these are the folks who take care of all of the horses, right? So, and they get them ready for the races. You see them. They are a very, very big part of what you actually see on your television screens for the Run for the Roses, or when you're actually there at Churchill Downs. So what's going on is that they're following strict racing rules in the care and preparation of these multi-million-dollar animals. Oh, those are my babies. I love horses. And they're working for an industry that makes money hand over fist. Yes, Churchill Downs makes billions, and they set a record last year in their billions of dollars, even when they did not allow people to come to the Derby last year as normal. So yet in the weeks before Derby, you know what? The valets had to walk away from the negotiating table over, guess what, ladies and gentlemen, a $27,000 in salary and benefits in total for the entire represented workforce. A negotiation which would cover valets for Churchill Downs and the company's lower profile race course, Turfway Park in Covington, Kentucky. As the union points out, and I'm reading right here, last year, which the corporation claims was a bad year due to the pandemic. Yes, they may not have had the opportunity to work last year, but that didn't stop Churchill from making money. And Churchill Downs posted over $1 billion in revenue, its second highest net revenue year in history. And guess what? The CEO of Churchill Downs, he was paid an extra $10.5 million Churchill Downs pays in relation to the median salary of the corporation's other full-time employees is 404 and 1. So actually, Aaron and Nate and Ken, I think I'm in the wrong business. I think I need to become the CEO of Churchill Downs. What do you guys think?
Yeah, I think it pays way better than a volunteer podcaster.
Slightly.
Yeah, no, that's an enormous amount of money. Good God. 404 to 1, right? You think back to like back in the 50s when, capitalism was really humming along and the average CEO pay was something along the lines of, 12 to 1. So it's insane. Hey, so Nate, did you have a response to the story there?
Yeah, I mean, just to say that, I look at the Derby and Churchill Downs and the ridiculous amount of money that they're making. And I think of horse racing really as more like a wealthy person's kind of pastime. I know that, there's a lot of people who aren't wealthy that bet on it, but it seems to me like it's really affiliated with sort of upper crust kind of lifestyles. And I'm just wondering how is this wealthy person sport not paying enough for the people who are fueling it? And I just think it's classic capitalism.
Totally. Absolutely. I mean, what I want to point out is that we all have a stake in this for a number of reasons, right? So people watching this might be going like, why do we care what Churchill Downs pays their horse valets? Here's why. They have gamed our legislature to the point that, if you remember that big fight we had during the session about the historic horse racing, I mean, slot machines, right? That was who owns those? Who gets to operate those historic horse racing slot machines, which are clearly slot machines. They're not pari-mutuel betting, right? They've carved out this niche so that people like Churchill Downs can make more money. Why do they have a historic level of wealth or level of income even during a pandemic? Is because they work every possible angle, right? And they have an amazing deal in Kentucky, right? So only 18% of the gross, the amount coming into these slot machines, only 18% goes out to the state. Most states pay huge levels, like 55% tax in Pennsylvania, 53% tax in West Virginia. We pay only 18%. And then of that, 10% goes back to the horse racing industry so they can have bigger purses and we can keep Kentucky as the crown jewel of horse racing nationwide, right? So they are getting it it's like coming and going. And I think the kind of conservative estimate was that we should be getting at least $100 million a year more in income into the state so that we can pay for, all the different things the state does. But no, Churchill Downs gets this amazing deal. So that's why we should care what they pay their valets, right? Like they are subsidized by us. And that's I think that's a problem. I don't know. Ken, what do you think? Okay.
Basically, I have something that I would like to add on that. Since this is the Louisville edition, I feel so honored today. Finally, Louisville on the Kernels of Truth. Can you all believe it? But I do want to say this. Also, they are spending over $900,000 from the city of Louisville's budget to pay for security for an all-around Churchill Downs. Okay, that does not come from Churchill Downs. They do not pay that. These are the women in blue, LmPD, and other security forces, and a lot of times the National Guard as well, to do all of this security around Churchill Downs. $900,000, almost $1 million. However, there are other societies, or what I can say, other communities in Louisville, which are very historic as well, where we would cruise down Broadway. And the motorcycle club Screaming Eagles, which was always in the Pegasus Parade, started that for the younger people and the West End people of Louisville, Kentucky. But the Metro Council here in Louisville said that they would not pay for extra security so that people can cruise or enjoy Derby and any other parts of the city but Churchill Downs. Now, also want to let you know, as Nate was saying, it seems like a rich man's sport or a rich woman's sport. Yes, some of it is, but some of us everyday people, we ka-ching, 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 thousands of dollars as we leave Churchill Downs. And the hat that Nate has on today reminds me of the infield. And if you all know anything about the infield, that's where everybody has fun. They get really drunk, they fall out. And in 2018 was my first time ever going into the infield. My son was with me. We had box seats, of course. And my son is like, let's go down there. And I'm like, I've never been down there. Don't want to go. We went down there, had a great time for a little bit, and you can let loose down there. Really, you can. Back to you, Aaron. I just want to add that.
Thank you for that color. I appreciate that color addition. Yeah, so sounds like the little racism in Louisville and how they manage the Derby and the extra security and the events that get prioritized. Speaking of racism and the Derby, we're going to talk a little bit about the history of black jockeys and horsemen in the Kentucky Derby. So there has been some really fantastic reporting in the run-up to the most exciting 2 minutes in sports this week, pointing out the incredible contributions of the African-American community to this, keystone Kentucky event. The first Kentucky Derby winner, anyone know? I do, because I've written it down and it's in front of me. Let me tell you, Aristide, written by Oliver Lewis in 1875, a African-American man. So black jockeys went on to win 15 of the first 28 derbies until the ugly side of America showed up and our racist instincts kicked in and kicked black jockeys off the track. A lot of this history and stories are being uplifted by the Ed Brown Society. Ed Brown's an amazing horseman who was born a slave in Lexington, later became a jockey, became a Kentucky Derby winning trainer and Kentucky Oaks winning owner before he died in 1906. From the Lexington Herald leader, Greg Harbert, one of the founders of the Ed Brown Society, was the only black owner of a horse in the 2020 Kentucky Derby. Harbert's experience last year was much different than that of his grandfather, who wasn't allowed in the stands to watch Touch Bar, a horse he bred and owned, compete in the 1962 Kentucky Derby. I will read that one more time. Touch Bar, a horse he bred and owned, compete in the 1962 Kentucky Derby. He could not watch it. He was an owner and he could not watch it. Really, truly shameful. Absolutely shameful. Kendrick Carmouche is actually scheduled to ride Bourbonic, which is a wonderful name. Bourbonic in this year's race, which would make him the first black jockey in the Kentucky Derby since 2013. So great to see Kendrick riding this year. Ray Daniels, who's the president of the Ed Brown Society, said the group is trying to help black people get jobs at all levels in the industry. And the organization has guided 30 black people into horse ownership in the past few years. Also, Kimberly alerted me to the fact that there's a Black Jockeys Lounge, a new restaurant in Louisville on 4th Street, which is helping to lift up the fantastic history of black jockeys and horsemen. So do check that out if you're looking for a place to grab a cocktail and some food there in Louisville for your Derby festivities. So, and then I think Kimberly, you had maybe another kind of touch point for Black history in the Derby.
Well, I was right there, and the people were climbing and trying to get up into the stands, and I was right there, and it was amazing. P. Diddy, Puff Daddy, P. Diddy, Sean Combs, everybody knows him, bad boy for life, had a horse in the Derby. And that year that P. Diddy actually came to Louisville, Kentucky, it was a madhouse, an absolute, like the movie Animal House. I'll just leave you with that.
That's fantastic. All right, so we are now going to move on to our third story. That's right, you got a bonus story this week, and this one is a little less, fun, but Nate brings it to us about the Louisville PD.
Yeah, thanks, Aaron. So this story comes to us from several news sources, including WLKY and the Courier Journal. So Police Chief Erica Shields and Mayor Greg Fisher, are being asked to fire officers that took part in an arrest a couple of weekends back. The allegation being that they violated Louisville's use of force policy when an officer punched a protester in the face over and over again while other officers did nothing. So here's the deal. On Sunday, April 18th, near Jefferson Square Park, Denorver D. Garrett was attacked by police for expressing his First Amendment rights. Mr. Garrett told media, quote, "I was in the crosswalk with my fist up in the air, just doing what I normally do. I stopped and came over and was talking to one of my friends, and then 10 cop cars pulled up. A video shows officers then surrounding a compliant Garrett as he is brutally forced to the ground, pinned down by the weight of several officers. And then, as the video shows, Mr. Garrett is punched in the face several times by another officer. David Maurer, Garrett's attorney, witnessed the arrest and said, quote, "The disorderly conduct says that he was creating a disturbance and was blocking traffic. It's a lie. I was here. I watched the whole thing and it's on camera." Standing with Maurer at a press conference, Mr. Garrett said, "I could have been a George Floyd." And now Metro Councilman Ja'Cory Arthur has followed up with a letter to Chief Shields calling for the officers to be fired. So you better believe we're going to be keeping a close watch on this story. And in a related story, after last week's historic news about the Derek Chauvin verdict, we are returning again to the fallout of the killing of Breonna Taylor by Louisville police while implementing a no-knock warrant. So this story was temporarily overshadowed in the wake of the Derek Chauvin verdict, but it's huge. After Attorney General Merrick Garland and the Department of Justice announced that they would be opening a civil investigation into the Minneapolis Police Department and whether they engage in a pattern or a practice of unconstitutional or unlawful policing, they then made a second announcement that they are opening up another investigation. And this time, the police department under investigation will be Louisville Metro Police Department, as well as Louisville Jefferson County Metro Government. So more coming up in following weeks as we continue to take a close look at this. But needless to say, this is an investigation that's a long time coming, long overdue, and much deserved. Back to you.
Today, the Justice Department is opening a civil investigation into the Louisville Jefferson County Metro Government and the Louisville Metro Police Department to determine whether LmPD engages in a pattern or practice of violations of the Constitution or federal law. Today's announcement is based on an extensive review of publicly available information about LmPD conducted by the Justice Department's Civil Rights Division. The investigation will assess whether LmPD engages in a pattern or practice of using unreasonable force, including with respect to people involved in peaceful, expressive activities. It will determine whether LmPD engages in unconstitutional stops, searches, and seizures, as well as whether the department unlawfully executes search warrants on private homes. It will also assess whether LmPD engages in discriminatory conduct on the basis of race or fails to provide public services that comply with the Americans with Disability Act.
Wow. So a phrase that we really like here on Progress Kentucky, one that our friend Denise Gray shared, reminded us all of, elections have consequences, right? So this is not what we would have gotten out of Bill Barr's Department of Justice, right? Merrick Garland is doing his job. He is doing it with, the proper, I think, focus, and understands the important role the Department of Justice can play in setting guidelines and ensuring proper police procedure and behavior. And I am so thrilled to see him in this role. I'll be honest, I really would have liked to see him on the Supreme Court. But this work that he is doing, I think, is so important. And I hope they go further. I think the DOJ has, within its kind of power, it knows how to help police departments do better, right? Like they do this, they used to do this frequently, right? Whenever there was a high profile problem like this, a Black Lives Matter event, they tend to come in afterwards and do the investigation. They always find racism. They always find, problems. And they have a kind of like, a menu of options to figure out the way to put the police department on a better path. I think we shouldn't have to wait till there's, an egregiously dead Black person in the street of that city to get that type of reaction. I think, there's a lot of different ways to move forward and to use federal resources to bring folks along. Carrots and sticks, right? Classic carrot and stick. There are carrots that can be used, I think, here. And I hope that under the Biden administration, they do some of that. Maybe after the midterms, when there are other chances of moving a policy agenda might be minimized. I don't know. But I mean, that's just my kind of quick response to that. Kimberly, what do you think?
Oh, I have a lot to say, but I'm going to condense it for you. You're barking up my tree. You're going down my lane right now because I am a Louisville resident and I am a Black woman. And the first night that they started the protest, I was not doing anything wrong. I was filming actual footage for my own show, the Jones Report. And so, I mean, I was not doing anything. The police came behind me, pushed me. There was tear gas everywhere. We were running. And the actual protesters really weren't doing anything to be so provoked. They come on the scene so militarized that it's all already going to put you on the defensive and also the offensive, right? Because they don't have to come like that. And there's a great picture that has circulated all around the world of actual Black Lives Matter protesters, not to be mixed up with the actual organization. I really think that's important for people to know that even though we say Black Lives Matter or we have Black Lives Matter protests, does not always necessarily mean that the organization Black Lives Matter is involved. And there's a picture of this one lone police officer by himself with all of his gear on, and all of these protesters have joined hand in hand to block anyone to come and harm him. These are the things that the major media will not tell you. Okay, I was there, I saw it, and also I saw the picture. And also want to let you know that there's been a racism problem with LmPD for as long as I can remember, even the 80s. I have seen the police just beat somebody down for no reason. I've been down there with the protesters, and I've seen what LmPD has done. Firsthand knowledge. This is not something someone told me. This is what I've seen with my own eyes. So I just want to just let everybody know that this is a long time in coming. There was a big organization out of Chicago, Aaron, and the city spent $200,000 for them to do an investigation to see exactly what was going on within the police department. And of course, what were their findings? Exactly what the citizens of Louisville had been saying for a long time. Then, Aaron, I also want to bring up to you and Nate, why would we even have Erica Shields as our chief in Louisville if she wasn't good enough for Keisha Lance Bottoms, the mayor of Atlanta? What makes her so good for Louisville, Kentucky? And we put that on the mayor. And Mayor Fisher, as everyone knows and says, that lives here in Louisville, Kentucky, needs to resign. Back to you, Aaron.
All right. Thank you, Kimberly. I'm not going to follow that up. What I'm going to do is say we got a commitment here on Kernels of Truth to kind of follow this story. We will continue to kind of come back to it. Kimberly, it's not the last time we talk about Louisville. We will come back to Louisville. But now we are going to go all the way across the state. Well, not all the way across the state, but, to another side of the state. We are going to talk to a couple of our favorite guests from earlier before we rebranded. We're going to talk to Nina and Mickey McCoy, the concerned citizens of Martin County. they're not the only ones. There are other concerned citizens in Martin County, but these are two of the leaders of concerned citizens of Martin County, and talk a little about what's going on in Martin County and its water. So Nina and Mickey, thank you so much for coming back to the show. Hope you guys are doing okay this evening.
Well, we really appreciate being on with Louisville. When Charles Booker was running, he was our man, and he came to Inez, and he had a hood to the holler idea going on, which we absolutely love. Yes.
Yeah, that is a great slogan, and it's a great idea of connecting these communities. And so glad he made it out to Inez, and that you guys had a chance to hear from him. I think you're going to hear from him again. I think that slogan is going to be shared quite a bit more in the year to come. Yeah. So what is going on? What's the current news? How are things in Martin County in terms of your water?
Well, we got a PSC required us to get a management company. So this company is paid by the district to run it. And, the good thing is that we got a more professional situation going on. But the bad thing is, and this is what we worried about, they're a year later asking for another rate increase. And so this is still worrisome. And it just seems to me that what this company brought was one feller and a lot of financial people. So they are making sure that everyone is trained and wearing hard hats. I thought that was interesting, that really we couldn't figure out how to make our people wear hard hats. But that kind of thing was what we were hoping for, was more professionalism. But here we are, they're already asking for another rate increase. We're already some of the highest rate payers in the state.
I think we're 8th in the high rate counties. Out of 120, we rank 8th at the moment. And if this PSC allows this increase, we'll be hovering around number two or three behind Caldwell County.
I think it's Caldwell County is the only one that would be higher.
In case people don't kind of know the history of Martin County, could you give us like the thumbnail sketch, like kind of why are you guys in the situation you're in terms of having this management company come in and want to jack up the rates? Like what is the kind of legacy there in Martin County that you're dealing with in terms of your water and those resources?
Well, it's a great legacy of mistrust. Because the customers of the water district have gained a mistrust from mismanagement in the past. I think this is like what is this, the third or fourth PSC?
The third investigation since 2002.
Yeah, and there also a mistrust when you see on the back of your water bill that you get that. Your carcinogenic, what are they called, honey?
What we had for about 16 years was disinfection byproducts. They were over the limit every single quarter for several years. And we already didn't trust it because we knew that it was old. The water plant was built in 1968 and never really upgraded.
And it was only supposed to serve water to 600 customers and homes, and that increased over the years. It seemed like they were hooking everybody that wanted on there to hook up, but they didn't really. Sometimes at the very end, before this company came in, a friend of mine who works up there say we were just finding any kind of scrap pipe we could, to use as a Band-Aid. So, and if you don't have those kind of things ready, first of all, how can you hook up? How many homes are on there now?
There's now 3,500 for a system that was built for about 500 to 600 homes.
Yeah.
And what they did basically was over the years, people lost their wells because of mines, because of damage or
wells sink or crack because of the explosives.
And so instead of holding the coal company responsible, They just, the county judge would just say, hook those people up too. And so it just got out of control.
Yeah.
And the people don't trust it, because in 2000, when we had a major coal slurry incident, it was the worst man-made environmental disaster east of the Mississippi at that time. And the EPA and the Division of Water acted like we were silly for thinking our water plant couldn't handle this. 300 million gallons of toxic sludge, when we all knew that our water plant couldn't handle that.
And you see, sludge is what, in the processing of coal, it has to be washed. And all the water that is used to wash it then is pumped up the hill to an impoundment, a man-made impoundment. And they call these slurry ponds. Well, this particular pond was 75 damn acres. And I'd say that's more than a pond. It's more like a lake. And the spill, they call a spill when sludge comes out and goes down into the community and into the creek beds and everything. They call it a spill. I think 308 million gallons is a flood. Yeah.
Yeah, I think that's charitable, right? There was a flood from that lake of toxic sludge.
Yeah.
That's what your community had to deal with. That was, of course, the worst case scenario, but there were lots of other events that were happening kind of leading up to that, coming out of that. It seems like, Martin County is like got an amazing has to pay an amazing price for the coal activity that you guys have had there. And I think ongoing, it seems like the flooding that we experienced recently,
Right.
It seems like you guys got hit really hard by that. How'd you guys fare then?
Well, we lost a new pump at the river, and
The water district.
The water district did. So it was one of the only things we had that was new, and it was flooded because we can't afford what's supposed to pull it out of the flood zone. And also I just want to put this out there. We had a engineering firm. They called themselves an engineering firm, but they were basically not. They were getting grants and saying that they were doing work and then not doing it correctly. And so right now we have $8 million coming in, and 3.5 million of that is to go to fix what they did wrong 16 years ago. And another 2 million is to go to fix what they did wrong to a federal prison 13 years ago. So, they want to say, oh, well, Martin County residents just aren't willing to pay. But, we're paying for mistakes that other people made. And we tried to tell them. For years, we had different people coming in, please help us. And they would say, the leaders would say, no, we're fine. The water's fine. And we all knew it wasn't. The Division of Water didn't help us. The EPA didn't help us. Finally, I'm going to have to say, this Public Service Commission, Commissioner Schmidt, is from Paintsville.
Michael Schmidt, great guy.
And I think he saw what was happening here, that the common people were being hoodooed by the leaders who were saying everything's fine, just increase their rates and we don't have to fix anything.
You couple all that along with the fact that the Central Appalachians is an area with some of the highest cancer death rate of any area in the country per capita. And, you feel like wonder who's going to get cancer next, people who live in an area come to the meetings and tell about eight out of 10 houses in a row have someone with cancer. I'm not saying that it's the water, but I think that, who was it from Marquis Cancer Center in Lexington?
Yeah, the head of the Marquis Cancer Center. Mm-hmm.
Said something.
Mark Evers. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, Mark Evers said something is going on in Martin County.
And almost 40% of our county is at or below the poverty level. And so here you are asking those people to pay some of the highest rates. If this rate increase does go through, then in the past 3 years, we will have had a 70% rate increase for the minimum water bill. And for if you are on sewer and water, which only about a fourth of the people are, but those are the people who are trying to do the right thing. Our rate increase is going to be 91% over 3 years.
Over 3 years, yeah.
And these are people, the minimum of water and sewer is going to be $85. And if you're living on supplemental Social Security, you're making almost $800 a month. So over 10% of your income is going to go to pay your water and sewer.
And you see, we buy our water because we still don't trust it. We buy our water to make coffee. We buy our water to make soups. We buy any of the water we use in the cooking process. But, you know, with 40% of the people at or below the poverty level, they can't afford it. So what are you doing? You're feeding the poor people. The poor people of Appalachia has to drink that shit.
And the thing is, UK did a study in 2019. I was one of the researchers to go around, and we tested 97 homes for disinfection byproducts, which is what they were in trouble for all those years. And 35% of them were over the limit. Now, what the Division of Water did in 2018 is they allowed them, instead of testing 4 homes once every quarter, they only have to test 2 homes once every quarter. Well, you know, that didn't make us feel like the water was any safer to drink. That made us suspect of the Division of Water once again.
Yeah, it is. It is unfortunate how much neglect and mismanagement Martin County has experienced in its water systems. It is, it's tragic. I think how coal communities like Martin County have been left holding the bag for, as you said, problems you didn't create. You are now being forced to pay for and pay for inefficiently at best. If you've got, horrible engineering companies coming through and not doing their job, which you then have to pay to fix. And your new pump.
And they're not from here. They're from Lexington. So, how many times every year? Well, Martin County just makes the wrong decisions. Like, for instance, we got a $13 million third courthouse that we don't need. We did not make that decision. Somebody downstate allowed that.
To happen.
And we did not make that decision. And we still owe for it.
Absolutely. Oh, so there's a question in the chat. Who is this water utility? Is it is it a kind of community owned, or what is the co-op?
The good news is we are still a community owned water district. I hate privatized water. I think it's evil. It's almost as evil as plastic. But what this PSC required is that we hire the management company. Now, they are from Missouri. They're called Alliance Water Resources. I think the only other Kentucky water system that they manage is Bardstown, or what's the county that Bardstown is in? But otherwise, they're out of Missouri.
Got it. All right. Well, hey, is there any final thoughts you'd like to let our viewers know? Like, what is Martin County? What can we do outside of the folks who are not in the county? What can we do to help you get better water? Help you get the kind of justice you need for your utility?
Well, if I had a bottle with a genie in it, I would wish that we could elect some human beings for representatives and senators. We don't have very many humans in those offices. And I just feel that the more that we keep this in the forefront, we'll talk to anybody. We speak the truth, and By God, that's what you get. I mean, anybody in America should deserve clean air and clean water. That's a human right.
And I'll tell you something else too. This legislature, and I don't know if this is like common knowledge, those of us in the water world know this, but the PSC and the governor put a moratorium on late charges and on water cutoffs during this pandemic. And this legislature took the power away from the PSC to do that. So that if things get bad again, they can just shut off people's water. PSC can't do anything about it. They can charge these exorbitant late fees for people who are already poor. And so I think that our legislature is the main thing we have to change.
You know, I wish we had more people like Kelly Flood, you know, who'll sit there and tell you, I am not out of order, by God. And, you know, those people who speak truth to power, that's what we need, man. And we need Charles Booker. I believe in Booker.
Yes.
Yeah, I think these are all really important points. One thing I want to just underscore before we let you go, you know, I just pulled this up. You know, President Biden has got an infrastructure plan, which I think could mean real resources for more communities to have clean water across the country, and specifically rural counties, poor counties. His jobs plan includes $111 billion to improve water systems, including $56 billion towards upgrading drinking water, wastewater, and stormwater systems, and looking at using existing programs, but the money will go to states, tribes, territories, and disadvantaged communities in the form of grants and low-cost, flexible loans. It's got $10 billion to monitor and remediate specific toxics in drinking water, and to invest in rural small water systems and household well and wastewater systems, including drainage fields. The White House estimates actually that 6 to 10 million homes still get their drinking water through lead pipes. To eliminate lead water pipes, the plan includes $45 billion to invest in the EPA's Drinking Water State Revolving Fund and water infrastructure improvements for the Nation Act grants. That'll target lead exposure in homes, as well as in 400,000 schools and childcare facilities. The plan also calls for $50 billion to improve infrastructure resilience. So it sounds like your system was clearly not resilient in the kind of flood example you just shared. But those investments will safeguard critical infrastructure and those services against climate-driven disasters, as well as maximize the resilience of land and water resources, including funding for the Western drought crisis by investing in water efficiency and recycling programs. So that's
yeah.
There's a lot of money, right? $111 billion is a lot of money. There are a lot of communities that need it, but it seems like this is designing a system that will be able to help communities like Martin County.
I do worry about one thing. A jobs plan, wonderful. That's exactly what it needs to be. But I'm afraid that we are going to have people not trained. We don't have a good training system for these kind of workers. And we now, Martin County Concerned Citizens, gets to go to every engineering meeting now. So we're keeping an eye on these new engineers. And they said that there are only 3 contractors that could possibly do the work in Kentucky that we need done. And 2 of them are like, I'm sorry, we're too busy and we can't find enough workers anyway. So I hope there's training for some of our best and brightest to be able to do work like this.
Yeah, that's a really good point. Of course, it is, it's called the jobs plan. So would hope that that is an element of it, but we will definitely do a dive and take a look. That's a really good point.
I hope that one engineering firm doesn't get any of those jobs.
We are not forgetting. We have a list of names. We know who has done you wrong, and we're going to keep an eye on them. Fool me once, right? So, hey, I did want to just point out, this jobs plan is not a given, right? So we know, as somebody mentioned, there's some representatives in Kentucky, senators in Kentucky who are not human, who might be lizard people, turtle people, certainly. But what we do know is they do not seem terribly motivated by the concerns of rural communities. But they have a lot of power to bring. And I think folks like Andy Barr, this is, spitting distance to his district. Absolutely a place that, people should be using their power. Why do we send them to DC? But to do work like this, to help our communities. But instead, we have got, Mitch McConnell, who is rallying his Fox News base to say that this is a liberal wish list. That's not what I just read there. That's not a liberal wish list. That is actual like human rights to get people clean, dependable water. Like Mickey said, 100% a human right to have clean water. And these resources are a long time coming. And the reason that we haven't spent them yet is because of folks like Mitch McConnell, who don't see the need to invest in America. And our infrastructure is falling apart like we're a third world country instead of the wealthiest nation on the face of the planet. So,
and we need sewage too. That is
absolutely
one of the problems that causes a lot of the problems here. We have a lot of straight pipes. And then you're asking them to pay this much money to hook on sewer. No, that needs to be subsidized. That needs to be helped because everybody has to deal with the water downstream.
Absolutely, 100%. So I want to just thank you guys. If you have any final closing thoughts or any like quick questions, because we kept you long, but we appreciate the insights you bring. Anything you'd like to finish with, Nina and Mickey?
I just want to give a shout out to the Appalachian Law Center out of Whitesburg, Kentucky, and who has that organization has supplied us with legal services pro bono for the Martin County concerned citizens, and is able to intervene with questioning witnesses and everything at the PSC. This girl's name is she's the assistant director, Mary Cromer.
It's Appalachian Citizens Law Center. Mm-hmm. They do it all for free.
Yeah, and she's been a godsend to us because where we try to push her way in and knock her head against the door and it won't come open, all she has to do, because she's a lawyer, is turn the knob.
She's a good lady.
That's what they learn in law school. Where those knobs are, how to turn them. No, that's a really good point. Those types of resources are so important, right? Like whatever the issue you're fighting for, if you are a concerned citizens of X or a nonprofit group that doesn't have a corporate backer or a big foundation behind you, those types of community resources are so critical. Just have the expertise to advance your cause in what can be a really overwhelming system. So the PSC is not an open door. I think they do have it locked, right? They can tell you that it's a public service commission, but they don't seem to actually want to hear from the public very much. And I'm glad to hear, Mickey, you've got, kind of good things to say about some of the individuals there. It's a small body. We talked about this a couple of weeks ago. It's only three. There's only three folks. At this point, I think two have been appointed by the previous governor. I think one is an Andy Bashir appointment, but it is definitely, it's really important that we hold them accountable, we elevate them, make people know that they're supposed to be accountable to the public, to hold these utilities to account. So really good stuff. Thank you guys. And again, really quick, Nate or Kimberly, you guys have any questions you want to ask Nina and Mickey before we let them go?
I just want to make a statement, actually, and thank you to the McCoys. It just sounds like it's almost another Flint, Michigan situation. And we know that they are holding a lot of people accountable for that now. So I just want to tell the McCoys, keep the faith. Help is on the way.
Thank you. Thank you. I love your hat.
And that's not a real hat. Like, she won't show us her real hat for this weekend, but like, no, that's like an older hat.
Nate, take that.
This is my 2018 hat.
Hey, Nate, who cannot hold a candle in the hat categories, but like, any final questions or thoughts you want to leave us with?
No, just my undying gratitude to Nina and Mickey for all their activism and helping shine a light on something that, much of Kentucky, or at least the powers that be, would like to keep in the darkness. So
right.
All power to you.
Yeah.
Awesome. And Betty Weaver on the comments wants to say, keep up the fight, keep up your fight. She's very happy to hear from you guys. And you open door whenever you've got any issue you want elevated, and we can do anything to help spread the word.
That's great. Let's go Union.
Go Union. Yeah. Absolutely. If you heard our first story, but we went in on the SEIU fight over Churchill Downs, and how important it is that we have unions. If you enjoyed a weekend, thank a union. If you only work 40 hours a week, thank a union. And we gotta stand together for sure. because these corporate bastards, oh, we don't need unions anymore. Oh, how easy would that be, huh? All right, you guys, thanks again. Have a great night. Keep up the work, and good luck with your fight. And then, so folks, this is the big call to action. You just heard it. I just rattled off, the $111 billion in President Biden's jobs plan to improve water systems. That is critical. Like, communities like Martin County desperately need those resources. So, they should not be making one of the poorest counties pay the highest water rates. Like, what? Like, that's insane. That makes no sense. So what that means is we need somebody to come in and help out. And we know that unless Mitch and Rand and Andy Barr and all these, non-human representatives don't hear from us, they're just going to go along with, the kind of Fox News, we got to fight that liberal wish list. It's not a liberal wish list. It's a human right that we need to deliver for all of our 120 counties across Kentucky and all 50 states across the nation. And we need to hold them to account. So please do call them, tell them, we need the American Jobs Plan. We need that infrastructure. We need rural broadband. We need, a care economy that can allow us to go to work. In the wake of this pandemic, we know how important it is to have, dependable childcare. So there's a lot in that plan, and we need to support all of it. And we need to, support the president in his efforts to pass it. So yeah, put in a call. I know it can be frustrating calling these guys, but it don't cost nothing. Just take a few minutes. Go ahead and annoy the intern answering the phones and tell them that we need the American Jobs Plan ASAP. And if you don't get on board, you got to get out of the way, you folks. So that's the call to action. I'm going to throw it over to Kimberly for our final thoughts.
Thank you, Aaron, and thank you to the McCoys tonight. We learned a lot, and also I wanted to let them know that my great uncle, who was like the biggest bootlegger in Kentucky, he was a McCoy. We're probably related. Yeah. Mm-hmm. And if that's family, and all Kentuckians are family to me, I am going to do whatever I can, because everybody deserves clean water and clean air. Exactly. Thank you to the McCoys. But moving right along, wouldn't you like to turn Kentucky purple? Yes, like the color that I have on today. Purple royalty. You can. Yes, you can. You think you can't, but yes, you can. And I'm going to tell you exactly how. So just join Progress Kentucky. We are progressing Kentucky to turn this sucker out that was red to now going to be purple. Yes, ladies and gentlemen, I'm making a psychic ability note tonight. We will be purple if we have your help. Yes, we have to have your help. So we are very, very close to more than 4,500 people on our Facebook page. So invite all your friends, your family, invite those haters too. Sometimes haters can be your elevator. They keep you on your toes. So invite everybody in your friend list to join Progress Kentucky, because this is where it's at, and we're going to change things. With you and me, we can change things. Also, I want you to know that the Commonwealth needs more kernels of truth. Yes, all of us are Kentucky colonels. Yes, we are. And we need more people to join us, not necessarily to become a Kentucky colonel, but becoming and helping out with the kernels of truth, because that's what we bring you. We bring you truth every single week. And not only that, we call out the propaganda, yes, of ridiculous claims like folks like Mitch McConnell, Rand Paul, and Andy Barr. We're hatching a plan. Yes, we are going to hatch a plan. And we're going to be sending out all kinds of handwritten messages, getting the word out any kind of way that we can to mobilize and organize to bring this state to its knees to becoming purple. Yes, and we need your help with that. I know you're like, Kim keeps telling me we need our help. Yes, I need your help. If we had enough people helping us, I wouldn't be saying the same thing week after week after week. So yes, we need you. Sign up. We got you, okay? Now, also, we're going to just spread the word. And if you could spread the word also, we would be greatly appreciative of that. Now, we've had a goal for quite some time of raising $1,500. And I would have thought by today that that would be like gone and we'd have another goal. But we are only 12% into the goal. So yes, tell cousin them, mama them, daddy them to pitch in a couple of dollars. It does take money, honey, to make things work, okay? And so we're gonna have that money and we're gonna do what we need to do to spread the word. So I'd like to give a great shout out tonight to our host, Aaron Viles, as usual, and also Mr. Ken Howe of Couchfire Media. Let me tell you a little bit about Couchfire Media. You need to be clicking on the website ASAP. You know, you've got some things in your head you've been thinking about all during COVID. Now it's time to execute that plan. And right there at Couchfire Media with Ken Howe, our producer, and his cohorts, let me tell you something. They ignite multi-camera, live stream, fiction narrative, nonfiction educational, informative, animation, and commercial video production content. So set your content on fire with Couchfire Media. And that's www.couchfiremedia. And you know what? There's some of us that do a few things outside of the Kernels of Truth show. That's coming to you every Wednesday now at 7 p.m. Make sure you put
Uh-oh, we lost Kimberly just when she was about to plug her own show. So I will do it. Folks, you got to watch the Jones Report. It is
at 7 p.m. now.
Tuesday.
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 Can you hear me? Tuesday at 7 p.m. You can watch Betsy Foster, your Democratic secretary, your legislative LD in Louisville, Kentucky, Jefferson County, and Mr. Mike Royer, a former senatorial candidate. He thought he was going to beat the mess out of Mitch McConnell at the polls, but it didn't happen that way. But he is my good friend, my brother, and of course, yours truly as your host at the Jones Report. Every Tuesday night at 7 p.m. And you can catch it on the Jones Report radio program or right here on Progress Kentucky. And I'd be much amiss if I did not shout out my girl, my friend, Miss Denise Gray. Catch her every other Sunday on Kentucky Conversations with Denise Gray. And you can catch her in any replays on the Bluegrass Activist page on Facebook. And Nate, I cannot leave you out because the song that you hear, the theme song, comes straight from Nate, our co-host tonight. And you can catch a lot of his music on natosongs.com. And that's www.nato.com. So until we see you next Tuesday, you know, we'll get all kinds of stuff to say. Check out our social media, what we're going to be doing. I'm going to be jumping off of here tonight, getting it on with my mint juleps. And I've got a gala to go to tonight. So I got to get my lashes and stuff on. So you know what? Do something nice for someone this week. All right? Do something nice for someone this week. And we see you right here next Wednesday at 7 p.m. Have a good week.